I'm John Travis in Mullumbimby, New South Wales, Australia on the 20th of March, 2020, talking to George Denniston in Port Townsend, Washington on the 19th of March. And I've been looking forward to this conversation. We had dinner together in Berkeley 10 years ago, and I know the wonderful work you've done with doctors opposing circumcision, and who knows what else I'll find out. And I'm going to find out today why, who you are and why, what has led you to be a change agent. And let's start with where you were born and what circumstances shaped you in your early years.
Well, it's nice to finally see you again, Jack, and even though you're halfway around the world. I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on April 10th, 1934. And I was born to a mother who gave me unconditional love. And I would have to say that plus my genetic makeup, I suppose, is responsible for any successes that I may have had. And I'm the oldest of 12 grandchildren. And so I have a lot of responsibilities there. And I have a younger sister and a younger brother. My younger brother is a retired professor of Shakespeare at Missouri Southern State College. And we see each other a lot on Zoom or Skype.
Uh-huh. And your sister?
My sister is no longer with us.
Uh-huh. Now, as a child, were you like the boss? How much older were you than them? We were a threesome and we fought a lot. How did you do as a threesome?
We did fine. Actually, my sister was 15 months younger than I was, and we got along quite well.
Uh-huh.
And my brother is 6 years younger, and when we were growing up, we were pretty separated, as you can imagine. But now we're very close.
Wow, that's interesting. You were in Philadelphia for your whole childhood?
Yes, I was in Philadelphia. I was very fortunate. I went to a Quaker school, the William Penn Charter School, which gave me an excellent education, and in which I played a lot of sports. In fact, I've recently totaled up the sports. I've played 271 sports in my life.
Wow.
I've enjoyed all of it, and and I feel the amazing thing about it is the opportunities that I had to do that. Not that I could do it, but that I had the opportunities.
I didn't know there were that many sports.
There
Name a few of the most
8,000
unusual ones.
There are 8,000 sports in some record, if you talk about indigenous sports. But I mean, those include all the usual sport. I mean, I played varsity soccer at Princeton. I played varsity, various other things. And then I flew airplanes. I flew 52 different types of airplanes in my life.
Wow.
And climbed mountains and done all sorts of things that I just have been very privileged to do. And it hasn't really interfered with my, if anything, it's enhanced my ability to practice medicine.
And I suspect it has a lot to do with the fact that you could pass for someone in their 60s. You're 86 or will be?
Right, I'll be 86 on April. And yeah, I don't feel old at all. I haven't gotten to that stage yet.
Oh, wow. I'm stand in awe. So what was your favorite sport as a kid when you were?
Oh, well, I guess I'd have to say soccer.
That was unusual in that day, wasn't it?
No, well, yes, there was only the Ivy League. That's correct. It was only the Ivy League area of the country played soccer.
Uh-huh.
And the Ivy League had the only college soccer at that time. That's correct. It wasn't until Pele came to Seattle in the 70s that things really took off with that sport. Now everybody plays it.
Yes,
It's a much healthier sport than football because it doesn't bash your head in.
Yes. Now, in grade school, did you play sandlot baseball, or what was your grade school like?
Well, I played baseball until I caught a fly on the tip of my finger, and that put me out for the season. So then I switched to tennis, and I
Uh-huh.
enjoyed tennis for a long time.
Uh-huh.
But
And
those are the standard sports. I tried all kinds of other sports. Whenever I had an opportunity, I would try one, just to see what it was like. And that's how I accumulate. And I wasn't trying to accumulate sports at that time, but when I look back on it, I realized how many I had done because I just loved them. That's all. It's that simple.
yeah. And then how was high school? Were you a big man on campus, or class president, or a nerd like me in the background?
No, I was top of my class scholarship wise with 6 or 7 other of us. And we all went to Princeton from Penn Charter. And but I wasn't a big man on campus. That was for the football team. And but from there, I went to Princeton and then was president of my class in medical school at Penn Medical School. And then went on after that, shortly after that, after an internship to the Harvard School of Public Health, where because I was concerned, because I was fully aware that medicine was just at the cusp. When I was a young person,
You went to Princeton and what?
well, okay. At the end of my freshman year at Princeton, I decided to become a doctor because I was, I wanted some direction in my studies. And I also realized that I loved people and I loved science. So the combination seemed to work. And also I had been sick with German measles. And so I read a book about a Johns Hopkins surgeon while I was in the infirmary. And that, I think, was what did the trick for me. So then I had to compress 3 years of pre-med into 2 years. So all I did was play sports, study, and sleep for 2 years. And I was admitted to Penn Medical School with a
So
number
you were
of
at Penn.
yes.
My dad went to Penn, but probably before you.
Right. Well, I was there I graduated in 1959
Yeah.
and with a number of my classmates.
Yeah, it was about 20 years before my dad. So how was med school for you?
20 years before your dad. Wow.
After my dad, sorry. Yeah.
I feel better about that. Yeah. Well, medical school was fascinating. And I knew I was in an excellent school. And so I had no problem working hard. But I was fully aware that medicine was at a cusp, because before, when I was a kid, I had a doctor who was very good, but all he could do was go make home visits and put his stethoscope on my chest and do little more. But then I realized when I was in medical school that we could do all kinds of things. We had all kinds of new technologies that were available to us. And there was so much new knowledge about all these diseases. And I realized that I didn't want to become a private practitioner and take care of 2,000 patients in my life. I wanted to do something which would affect a great many more, because there was too much new information available and we had to get it out to everybody. So that was my basic trend to get away from it. So that's why I went to the Harvard School of Public Health right after my internship.
And where was your internship in
Pennsylvania, the hospital founded by Benjamin Franklin, Pennsylvania Hospital in Philadelphia.
And then how was Harvard?
Well, Harvard was wonderful because it was really, I mean, I had classmates from all over the world there. We had Chinese professors there in the class, and we had students from all over the world that were all. And I learned so much from them, as well as from the courses, of course. And we were pioneering at that point. There were 3 of us in the class who said that the biggest issue in the future is the population issue. And so 2 years after we graduated, the dean created a whole department of population at Harvard. So
Ah.
we helped to get that going.
Now, was this a preventive medicine residency?
Well, it was part of a preventive medicine residency. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is 6 years long. I had Harvard, and then I went for 2 years as an epidemic intelligence service officer at the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta. And I was in charge of influenza surveillance for the country at that point. And we wrote bulletins to keep public health officials updated on what was going on with the epidemic that year, which is a mild influenza B epidemic. Then I went to back in Seattle, where I was at that point. I got out here with the CDC actually and worked for the state epidemiologist.
Now